Excuse me. Have you heard of this thing that makes me right?
Makes you right about.
About everything.
Oh. Well, I am familiar with what you're referring to.
I gotta stop you there. You couldn't have heard of it. Because if you did, you'd have already signed up for it, and you'd be out here in these streets and on the web with me, needlessly fighting with people about why this thing makes us better than them. But I don't see you out here beefing with people, which indicates to me that you haven't signed up for this thing, which is in essence shitting on this thing that makes me right, which is basically shitting on me. Why you shitting on me, man?
You missed some steps. You know what? I'm curious now. How did you come to these conclusions?
You're probably not even ready to hear the truth. I mean, I could tell you about it, but in order for it to make sense to you, you'd have to listen to it like your life depended on it, which it does.
What am I missing here?
Okay, good. So you want to know about what makes me right so that you can be right too, so that you can get like me. All right, cool. I knew I liked you. All right, let me tell you all about it then.
Please do. You've got my full and undivided attention. Please explain this thing that makes you right to me. Spare no detail.
I'm so glad you asked. Are you ready to have your mind blown?
Yes, I am.
Okay, bring it in real quick. The secret to why I'm right is because those people over there, special terms we use amongst ourselves, and these resources all say I am. Bam! Just changed your life, didn't I? Aren't you glad I shared it with you? Bring it in. And guess what? All you have to do to be right too is just tell other people exactly what I just told you. That what those people over there said, special terms we use amongst ourselves, and these resources all make us right, and that if they simply accept these things without reservation or hesitation, that they can be right too. Bam! You ready to make the world a better place? Yeah, you are. Hey, let me ask you something. Doesn't it feel good to be right?
Well, before we hit these streets, is it alright if I ask you a few questions?
Well, there's nothing to question. I just told you everything you needed to know.
Yeah, sure. Of course, you just told me everything. But what you're saying is right, right?
I'm right!
Exactly. So anything is right as this thing is. This thing that empowers and emboldens you should be able to handle a few measly questions, shouldn't it?
Listen, man, I told you there's really nothing to question, but look, if you insist, let's just make it quick. We've got people to convince.
It's a little intense, but you know what? Let's do it. So just to recap, the thing that makes you right is a combination of things. It's what you learn from those people over there, special terms you all use amongst yourselves, and then these resources right here. Am I following you?
Yeah, that about covers it.
You mind if I add a few things to your list there? Things that will make you even more right?
Okay, cool. I don't have a problem with that. As long as it makes me more right, then knock yourself out. Let's hear it.
So, to that list, we're going to add conclusions you've drawn based on your own experiences with this thing that makes you right, and then also ways for explaining things you learned through this thing that makes you right. Okay? So, instead of three things, now it's five.
See? Oh, you get it. Look, the world is waiting on us to save it, bro.
And by ways for explaining things, I'm talking about narrative devices like stories, and then also formulas, methodologies, things of this nature. Ways to explain the experiential reality.
Exactly.
Okay, so reductively speaking, we've got people, we've got jargon, we've got different types and facilitators of narratives, we've got the opinions and speculations of individuals and institutions that agree with you in the form of literature and media products. That's basically everything that makes you right. We're on the same page.
And don't forget about my personal experiences. My experiences with this thing are the main reason I know it makes me right.
So basically, what makes you right is third party discovery, determinations, and perspectives. That about sum it up?
Yeah. But can we kind of pull back on some of those big words, though? I mean, the only big words that should matter to us are the special terms we use in this thing that makes me right. So,
I hate to ask you this, but do you really understand this thing that makes you right? How well do you know this thing you're trying to convince me of?
wait. First of all, of course I understand it. I wouldn't be out here telling people about it if I didn't. What kind of stupid question is that?
Okay, so explain this thing to me again, only this time from your own perspective. Like, describe to me the mechanism behind why this thing makes sense to you. And please, no, because they said this, or because this says that, or because this is how we do things. Like, explain this to me from your own vantage point.
Oh my God, again with the big words. Are you trying to sound smart or something? You really don't get it, do you? It's like you're not even listening to me.
Well, I am listening. And what I'm hoping is that you'll be able to explain to me how third party discovery, determinations, and perspectives makes you right. That's really all I'm asking. Explain it to me like I'm a person who has no frame of reference for what you're trying to describe to me.
Look, I already explained it to you. All you have to do is internalize this thing. You have to accept it and that it's right, or at the very least, better than you and better than your ability to make sense of reality without it.
So, the only way this can make sense to anyone is if they accept it first?
Exactly.
What?
Oh my God. Your problem is you're arrogant.
So, let me get this straight. I'm arrogant for asking you to explain this thing you're trying to convince me of.
Fuck yeah, you're arrogant. Just look at yourself. Listen, all you have to do is listen to what those people over there say. Use these special terms and ways for explaining things that we've achieved and come to rely on. Use and study these resources right here, and then you'll understand everything that you need to know. As of now, you just don't have the proper knowledge or discernment yet. You have to earn that shit just like I did. So let me teach you. Look, here is why I'm right and why you should conform to what I'm saying.
You are right on one thing. I don't have the proper knowledge yet, which is why I'm asking you for a proper explanation. You do fully understand this thing you're trying to convince me of, don't you?
Of course I've got the knowledge. I'm right.
Is knowledge for this thing that makes you right limited to its own realm of consideration?
Fuck the big words. Look, we get it. You're smart. But fucking speak English already.
What I'm saying is, can you describe this thing that makes you right without relying on or resorting to third-party discovery, determinations, or perspectives? Like, can you describe it by likening it to things you're already familiar with? Because by my understanding, that's the best way to determine whether or not you actually know what you're talking about. When you really understand something, you can explain it in any number of ways. However, when you don't really understand something, you can only describe it to others the way that it was described to you. You regurgitate as opposed to authentically express or convey. Does that make sense?
But I've already explained it to you a million times already. Listen to me. I'm going to say this real slow. Listen to what those people over there say. Use the special terms and ways for explaining things that we've achieved and come to rely on. Study these resources here and accept everything in them without question or hesitation, and you will finally get it. If you do all of these things, then you can end up being right too, just like me.
So basically what you're telling me is you can't explain any of it without referencing how it was taught to you.
What are you even talking about?
Let me ask you something. How honest of a person are you?
More honest than any person you've ever met in your life.
Cool. So answer this for me then. Is there any chance that you, or this thing that makes you right, could be wrong?
Absolutely not. There is no way this thing that makes me right can be wrong, so there's no way I can be wrong about being right.
But the world is full of people who don't necessarily share your views, who also feel that they're right. What do you think about them?
Well, generally speaking, I think that they're confused. I think that they're irrational. I think that they're immoral. I think that they're ignorant. I think that they're violent and aggressive. I think that they're generally bad people. If I'm being totally honest, I think that they're savage, okay? But if they accept this thing that makes me right, then, they'd be a little less savage than they presently are.
Would it surprise you to know that they think the exact same things about you?
Of course they would. I mean, look at them. They're not rational. They're not intellectual like me. They're not righteous. Honestly, they're just jealous because they know my thing is right and their thing is wrong, and they know it. They know it.
Do you not see the correlation here?
Well, of course none of this is going to make sense to you. Like I told you before, you need to know the backstory. You need to have all the data. You're missing all the fundamental pieces that tie everything together, and you can only get those by accepting this thing that makes me right.
Got it. Still waiting on you to explain the mechanism behind the special terms you use, like how they fit and function together to create a system of organized and useful thinking. Just explain it to me in language that isn't specific to your ideology. Can you do that one for me?
I already told you everything you need to know. I'm right. You want to be right too, don't you? You want to get like me, don't you?
No. I'm picking up what you're throwing down. Basically what you're saying is things you recognize as and or take on authority make you more righteous than and subsequently superior to other people.
Exactly. So what are we even talking about here? Are we going to go out here and convert other people now, or are you still confused?
Am I still confused? Damn good question.
Why do I even bother? I'm trying to help you.
Okay, so you really want to help me? Explain to me what makes you, or anyone or anything you take on authority, right.
Are you even serious now? What makes them right is their clout, their social standing, how they're generally perceived by people who agree with us. What also makes them right is the amount of time they've invested into considering and building out this thing that makes us right. Are you fucking retarded? Are you fucking crazy?
Why does answering questions make you so aggressive? Calm down.
Because you're trying to create your own version of truth and you're talking like a fucking moron.
See, I don't think I'm a moron. I ask questions so that I don't end up doing things that stupid or mentally lazy people usually do when they end up falling into belief traps.
See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. There you go being elitist, calling people stupid. Who the hell do you think you are? Wait a second. Being stupid and being mentally lazy is the exact same thing. It's basically wanting someone or something to think for you, that is, anticipate and or solve problems for you so that you can ride on the laurels of belief. Being stupid and being mentally lazy is always a choice. Bullshit! Everybody is smart. You can't just go around calling people stupid just because they don't think like you. Listen, everyone isn't equally intelligent, but then again, everyone isn't able-bodied either. You wouldn't call a person who's disabled lazy because their circumstance placed limitations on what they could do, but then again, you couldn't say that a person who had limitations placed on them couldn't be lazy if they decided to. The difference between a person who's physically or mentally limited and then a person who's just being lazy is always a matter of doing the best you can with what you've got. That is, as opposed to waiting for other people or methods or systems or ways of thinking to do all of the work for you. What is your point?
Well, see, the thing is, I think you are right.
Thank you! That's what I'm talking about. All right, so you're with me then.
But, only according to things that more than likely aren't correct. Watch your mouth. You're about to cross the line. You don't want to see me. What you gonna do?
See? People like you are dangerous. You mislead people who don't know any better with a bunch of fancy word games, but I'm on to you.
And you got all of that from me asking you questions that you refuse to answer honestly.
Now, whatever. You're just never going to get it.
Let me explain something to you, believer. Everything you think you know and could possibly even conceive of is limited to a very, very, very narrow scope of consideration. Human intelligence is like a fraction of a sliver of a shard fallen from an infinite wall of crystals that make up the body of principles that facilitate life on this planet alone. Nothing you know is even capable of being fully right because it always represents just fractions of whole universal principles. To the point, the entire system of thinking you perform through is fundamentally broken from a premise level.
Dog, who are you to say what's broken and what works? Just look at everything we've achieved and then tell me our system of thinking is broken. Tell me our system of thinking doesn't work.
It all looks quite impressive, doesn't it? And if you went into a village where kicking was the only way things were done, all of their shit would look mad archaic the very second someone showed up with a gun, or a skilled hand, or a knife, or a bat, or really anything other than a kick. It wouldn't matter if they had 8 million different ways to kick things. By their standards, they'd be well developed. They'd be very accomplished in kicking, but their accomplishments would be limited to a very specific kind of context. Kind of like how human intelligence and human discovery is good on Earth. It wouldn't survive in space. It wouldn't thrive in space.
You think you're so smart. Have other people and documents and ways for testing intelligence verified that you actually are smart? You know, you're not better than me.
Listen, I never claimed to be smarter than you. But what you're hearing from me now isn't just a jumble of big words. It's an example of organized thinking.
You still just don't get it, do you? And you're way too arrogant to be objective about this. So, you know what? I'm done with this. Let's just leave it at this. I'm right, you're wrong, and you're jealous because you know I'm right and you're wrong. End of discussion.
No, stop lying, man. First of all, you want to disengage because you have no other options now. Every moment you spend going back and forth with me erodes your sense of righteousness more and more, and it's threatening to you. Let's cut the bullshit. Just keep it honest. That's what we're trying to do.
I'm right!
Before we part ways, can you at least admit that there's a chance the thing that makes you right might actually be wrong, for honesty's sake?
Can you admit that there's a chance that you're wrong?
Oh, absolutely. Hell, I can even do you one better than that. I look for ways to be wrong, and then I go around and challenge all the best minds I can find to expose weak points in my worldview so that I can continually refine my perspective and always be moving toward whatever makes the most sense. That's what honest people do. I do all of this again to avoid falling into belief traps. But please answer the question. Is there a chance that you and all the authorities you subscribe to might be wrong?
Inconceivable.
I thought you might say that. Let me explain something to you. It's mechanically impossible to be right and reasonable at the same time.
Excuse me, I'm a very reasonable person, which is why I'm right, which is why I found the thing that makes me right. What are you even talking about?
I'm sure you think you are reasonable. Here's how it actually works, though. Either you're defending things you've learned and or believe to be true, or considering and organizing ideas, information, and events in real time. There is no in-between. If you think you're right, you're defending an idea, even if defending that idea means blocking out new information that might conflict with it.
I'm right!
When you're reasoning, you're weighing information based on what's relevant and then aligning yourself with whatever makes the most sense.
Dude, you're just talking gibberish now. I don't even know about all that. All I know is that you're attacking me right now because you're ignorant, you're arrogant, and you're jealous of me because you know I'm right. And now you're being a victim because I'm not falling for your tricks.
Is that how you see this going?
Yup. In fact, you know what? You asking all these questions, let me ask you some questions.
Shoot.
First question. How do you know I'm not right if you won't even give the thing I'm suggesting to you a chance to make sense?
Do your thoughts represent the type of thinking this thing inspires in people?
Yes.
So the best way to determine whether or not this type of thinking is right for me and whether or not I want this type of thinking in my own head would be to test how it performs in other people's heads first. Would that not make sense to you? Is this type of thinking good for solving a multitude of problems or just good for one thing, namely making me feel superior to others?
You didn't answer my question.
I'm giving you the chance to make sense on behalf of this thing you're defending. If you make sense, then it makes sense. If you fail to make sense, then you have no business promoting this thing at all. Seems simple enough to me.
It's like talking to a wall. You've got to be the dumbest person I've ever met.
Well, I haven't missed a beat. I'm fully aware of the thing you're trying to convince me of. You're the one who assumes I'm ignorant for not signing up for it or trying to convince others to join in.
Seriously, dude, I think you might be mentally unstable. You might even be evil. Are you trying to mislead me or something?
What? Mislead you? In order to mislead you, I'd have to be trying to lead you somewhere.
I'm not trying to lead you anywhere.
I can't even hear you now, man. I'm just looking around at all the proof that demonstrates how this thing actually makes me right. Blinders!
Seriously though, if thoughtful consideration, objectivity, and personal honesty can lead you away from this thing that makes you right, then you gotta ask yourself, how right can it really be? Can you name anything that's right that causes people to avoid personal honesty?
Oh, okay. You know what just occurred to me? I think you must be talking about how we used to do things, like how we were before we moved into this new space of thinking we're performing through now that has all these new sets of explanations and ways for understanding. Yeah, what you're talking about, yeah, that's how we used to do things. We're completely changed now. We're in a completely different space. So we're not what you're talking about applies to that. It doesn't apply to what we're doing now.
All of your thinking, all human thinking traces back to a common root, and that root is authority.
Dude, you give yourself way too much credit. Like, no one else is saying what you're saying now. So that means that you must not be making sense. Okay? Wow.
According to the principle of authority, being right is more important than making sense. In other words, it wouldn't matter which belief system or field of contemplation I was referring to because all of them are belief-based, because all of them are inherently tied to authoritative thinking.
Yes, big words. Ooh. It's not about what we can conceive of. It's about what we know. It's about what we can prove through our way of thinking.
Okay, just one final question and I'm done.
Anything. Let's just be done with it.
Why is it so important for you to be right?
Because everyone should want to be right.
But why?
Because right wins and wrong loses.
Can I borrow your perspective for a second?
What are you talking about?
Let me just...
What are you doing? What the hell just happened?
It'll only be a few seconds. I just disabled and removed your righteous chip so that you can answer a few questions honestly.
Oh my God, I hate you so much right now.
Why do you hate me? Because everything you're saying is very unsettling. You're messing with my livelihood. If I listen to what you're saying now, I run the risk of damaging my worldview and in so relegating this thing I've been using to build reputation and relationships with. Why does that make you uncomfortable? Because I use this thing that makes me right to control how others perceive me, and in so increase my chances for opportunities and rewards. I also use it to justify my attitudes, actions, and behaviors towards others. Do you really understand the things you're trying to convince me of? I understand it well enough to exploit it for personal gain, for status, reputation, opportunities, and even hope. I don't really know the mechanism behind it, but it's comfortable and easy to use. But does it really make you better than other people? I need to believe it does. I need to believe it gives me an advantage in life because every day I'm up against uncertainty. I need something to lend structure and navigability to that which I have no control over. Why do you need to be right? Being right means I deserve things ahead of other people. It ultimately means that I deserve to live more than they do and experience comforts and satisfaction ahead of them. Could you ever see yourself choosing reasoning over righteousness? Maybe someday, but not while I'm in competition for survival with a system that's trying to eat me alive. I just want to feel safe. I just want to feel like people aren't targeting me or those I love because of who or how I am. Being right augments my social worth. It necessarily entitles me to compensation. Through years and years of conditioning, I've learned to equate being right with opportunities and rewards, and being wrong with punishment and penalty, and I just don't want to be punished anymore. I'm sick of being punished in life, and sick of missing out. Should the hope for safety and rewards really stop you from considering things and being honest with yourself? I don't want to think about anything or make decisions about anything that might ultimately result in me being blamed. I just want to be right, at least right to the degree that it puts me in line ahead of others in terms of authority and subsequently opportunities, status, and reputation. Because the only two things that matter to me in life are really how I'm perceived by others and then how other people's perceptions of me translate into opportunities, comforts, and rewards. What would you do in the event of finding out things you've taken on authority aren't true? What is your exit strategy for being wrong? Honestly, I don't have an exit strategy. This thing that makes me right has become an extension of me, like an appendage or an organ. I don't know how I'd live without it, and to be honest, I'm not even sure that I'd want to. I'm willing to die in order to prove I'm right. Because honestly, facing life as a wrong person is even more terrifying than death itself. The thought of losing everything I've invested into and gained from being right is so scary to me that I don't even know how to quantify and assess it in real-world terms. Please don't make me wrong. Punctuate it for me now. Bring it all home with a grand statement. The world runs on meanings, symbolisms, and stories. What it all boils down to for me is the fear of being worthless, the fear of having no form or type of authority to make it through life with in a world that runs on authority. This is why I seek to attach myself to things that increase my value in the eyes of others. I want symbols and stories to define me as an individual so that ultimately they can transform me into being something more than just a person trying to survive. I hope they can transform me into a meaning that might even last forever. I guess my ultimate fear is impermanence, an inherent understanding that I'm ill-equipped to survive in a system that's trying to swallow me whole. What about being right, though? Being right is what makes me better than other people. It's what makes me a person, and then makes those who aren't with me or who aren't part of what represents and defines me objects in my eyes, that is, tools or weapons to be used at my discretion. It's okay to exploit objects, but it's not okay to exploit people. Objects exist exclusively to aid us in our pursuits for comforts and survival. I want to experience reality with people, but also maintain control over all objects. This is why I want so badly to make you a real person. If you're part of my group, then it means you're a real person to me. If you just yield to our authority and recognize that we're superior and more deserving of life and freedom than you are, then we can trust you as a tool and someday even come to see you as a person. This is how I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you become whole. I'm trying to help you become real in my eyes. Thank you. Here is your righteous chip back.
Dude, what just happened? Did I black out? The hell? So, are we about to hit these streets and convert some people?
We already have.
Dun, dun. Hey, yo, dun, dun. Do. Please don't not remember me.